Good evening, everyone. We are returning from closed session, and I call to order the February 28th, 2023 meeting of the Glendale City Council. May we have roll call?
Yes, council members Asatirian.
Here.
Brotman.
Here.
Divine.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Najarian.
Here.
Mayor Kasakian.
We have a quorum. Will you all please rise and join me in the flag salute? Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us begin by acknowledging that we are standing on the indigenous lands of the Gabrielino Tangva people. In lieu of an invocation, I will now read a poem by Nikki Giovanni entitled Black History Month. If Black History Month is not viable, then wind does not carry the seeds and drop them on fertile ground. Rain does not dampen the land and encourage the seeds to root. Sun does not warm the earth and kiss the seedlings and tell them plain, you're as good as anybody else. You've got a place here too. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, may we have your report?
Yes. The agenda for the February 28, 2023 regular meeting of the Glendale City Council was posted on Wednesday, February 22nd, 2023 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Thank you, and I would just like to note that our mayor, Artie Kasakian, is on city business outside of the city of Glendale, and we hope to see him next week. Next up, please.
Next are presentations and appointments. The first is agenda preview for the meetings of Tuesday, March 7, 2023 by Assistant City Manager John Tahtanian.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Najarian, members of the City Council. Next week, we'll start off our afternoon with a special meeting of the City Council, 2 items. The first will be a report from the Community Involvement Department regarding parklet design and installation for downtown Glendale, as well as alfresco dining program guidelines for private parking lots throughout the city. Second item will be from the City Attorney's Office regarding revisions to the nomination and selection process for boards and commissions, term limits for members of boards and commissions, the addition of youth commissioners to Transportation and Parking Commission, Parks, Recreation, Community Services Commission, and the Arts and Culture Commission. For the evening, we have 4 consent items. The first will be from Public Works regarding plans and specifications for the Community Beautification Project, followed by a report from Glendale Water and Power regarding Amendment Number 4 to a professional services agreement with Next Gen Strategies and Solutions. The third consent item will be from the Library, Arts and Culture regarding acceptance of grant funds for the eBooks for All program. And the final consent item that evening will be from Public Works regarding the roof replacement project at Central Library. Under adoption of ordinances, depending on how the conversation tonight goes, we may have the adoption of an ordinance to remove parking permits from commercial vehicles and to update our parking permit fees for large vehicles, boats, RVs, and the like. Under action items, Community Development will provide a report considering refinements to the sign regulations pertaining to animated digital signs throughout the city, followed by another one from Glendale Water and Power regarding standardization of water meter boxes, vaults, covers, and inserts. Glendale Water and Power will also have another item following that regarding the use of alternative project delivery method for engineering, procuring, and constructing city-owned solar projects. The second to last action item will be from Community Services and Parks regarding the award of a contract for the preparation of design and construction documents for dog parks at parking lot 11, as well as a feasibility study of having dog parks at either Palmer Park, Brand Park, or Glendale Community College Garfield campus, or any number of those. The final item is from Public Works regarding the Fremont Park renovation project. And the final item that evening will be a hearing that'll be regarding the appeal of the Director of Community Development's determination related to a project located at 1900 Riverside Drive.
Thank you very much. Let's go to item 3B, please.
3B is Air Quality Updates presentation by South Coast Air Quality Management District Governing Board Member Vice Chair Michael Cacciati.
Thank you, Mr. Cacciati. Nice to see you here in Glendale.
Mayor Pro Tem, great to see you here. It was my honor to take the Gold Line and the Metrolink train here and get off at your beautiful historic Glendale station.
You're great.
Mayor Pro Tem, council members, I've seen you before. I'm back again. You're my bosses on the South Coast AQMD board. I represent 34 cities from Santa Clarita, Burbank, Glendale, all the way to Claremont. So 2 million people, 34 cities, and we try to clean up the air. So let's go forward. And just some background, I know, Mayor Pro Tem, you've heard it, some of you have heard it before, but for the public and others that haven't, AQMD was founded about 1976. Remember in the early 70s, there was a federal EPA. They started, and they set up these clean air standards. And they had to pull together 4 separate air pollution control districts, LA, Orange, San Bernardino, Riverside County, into one, the South Coast Basin, pretty much a basin surrounded by mountains, the worst pollution in the United States. So that bottom picture is Jerry Lewis, who was a state legislator at the time with about 110,000 petitions, clean up the air, because LA, you're blowing your air in the Inland Empire. And it blows back now, unfortunately. There's 17 million people in the 4-county basin. There's 28,000 permitted sources from landfills, oil refineries, everything you can think of, factories. 67% of our areas, environmental justice pollution. Areas that are polluted, and 1/3 of this area is U.S. containerized cargo, ocean-going vessels, heavy-duty trucks, warehouses. 2 sources of pollution: stationary, again, they don't move, large factories, gas stations, cleaners, paints, refineries. 20% of that pollution basin is attributed to that. The big sources are, as you see, ocean-going vessels, airplanes, trains, not only freight, but passenger. And Mayor Pro Tem, you know, from Metrolink, there's about 200 plus passenger trains like the one I took just going in our basin every single day, including Amtrak, cars, et cetera. Here's the problem. Air pollution is significant. There's 2 big types that we don't meet this federal standards, and it has big implications. On the left is ozone, photochemical reaction, nitric oxides from your cars, from your trucks, from your lawnmowers, mixes with VOCs, volatile organic compounds, and we get smog or ozone. Bad for your health. On the right are this particulate matter. That gray stick is a human hair. Bottom of that piece of sand, that's particulate matter 10, dust, mold. Your body can reject that, your blood-brain barrier. Look at the little blue globes. As you get a little smaller, that little red mark is a PM 2.5 smaller. That kind of goes through your blood-brain barrier, unfortunately. And at the very top, that says ultrafine particulates. That's even worse. It goes deep into your organs, into your tissues, into your genes, and cause an expression of genes which is similar to cancer, other diseases. So very serious, and it's, again, mainly caused by diesel, soot, heavy-duty combustion. This is what it does to your bodies, your family's bodies, your kids, your neighbors, and even the pets. We know for a long time it was respiratory problems, cardiovascular now, metabolic. Recently, in the last 5 or 10 years, been a lot of studies on the impacts on the brain. Because again, it goes in your tissues and it lodges there. So there was even a study done several weeks ago in Canada where they tested actually humans. I don't know how they got in the test, but they tested about 100. And they subjected them to diesel particulate matter in a room for a couple hours. And they put an MRI in their brain. And they took them out with no pollution a day later. So, and what they found was the connections in the brain were disrupted by the PM 2.5. When there was no pollution, no disruptions, the thought process went through. So there's some serious health implications for people from pollution, air pollution. And here's just facts. If we meet these federal standards and reduce pollution, we can actually prevent 1,500 premature deaths a year, prevent hospitalizations of juvenile, asthma or adult asthma, do something about arrested lung growth. We can prevent kids from missing school, people from missing work. You see some kids on a soccer field there. I coach soccer. I coached up against the Glendale teams, which beat us many times in South Pasadena. But I've had kids, this is the first time Mayor Pro Tem I had actually, usually have 1 kid every couple of years that had asthma on my team. I had 3 kids this year, asthma. And at every practice, they pulled out the nebulizer. A couple of times they had to say, Steve, you got to stop. Take a break. You're ready to have an attack. And at the games, I always had to talk with the parents. Never had 3 kids on a team. So even though we're getting better air quality, there's still issues. We could save a lot of money in hospital bills, other health benefits a year, significant. Good news is air pollution is getting better. The little graph on the left is ozone. You can see from 1992, it's gotten a lot better. We've reduced it. On Coachella Valley's in the red, that's going down. On the right is cancer-causing air toxics, were a little different, metals and things like that. Much better, we've reduced that in half, but still serious. Again, here's the problems. It's the trucks, it's the airplanes, the trains, off-road construction equipment, ocean-going vessels. AQMD has no control over those. Or we've tried. We sued the federal government a couple of times with these rail stations, railroads. We lost, preempted by federal law. Here's what happens. And there's a serious issue. If we don't meet federal standards that they've set up and they get tougher and tougher every year, there's 3 agencies that regulate air quality. The left is US EPA, California Air Resources Board, they do the mobile sources. You just saw, we pretty much regulate stationary. We've done as much as we can. We try to work with businesses. We don't put them out of business. But if we don't meet these standards, look at the bottom left, stationary sources. The federal government will come in, and they have in the past throughout the nation, and they'll say, okay, you want to get a permit for something like a power plant, a gas station, a factory, a landfill like up here in Sylmar, double the price, because we're going to take that money and clean up the incentives and clean up the air. Secondly, we can take away $600 million, $1 billion of your federal transportation money. And finally, on odd number days, only odd number license plates can be on the road. That was a draft federal implementation plan in the past for other areas. They can do it. Good news is we've got a lot of programs for you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, council members, your residents, your businesses, up to $1,500 in the first column for a clean air furnace. That will increase probably within the next year. So we're going to increase these programs, the money available. If you want to get an electric lawnmower for your residents that aren't professional gardeners, up to $250 off, turn your old one in. If it's a self-propelled, you get $250. A regular push, a little bit less, but you got to turn your old one in. EV chargers, no matter how much money you make, you'll get $250 off if you just install an EV charger. Depending on your income, if it's lower, you can get up to $500 off. We'll just give you that money. And they range in age in price from $400 to about $900. Just got a charge point for $850 installed in my house. $9,500 if your residents want to get a new car, turn in an old beat-up car, get a new one. It can be a hybrid, it can be a clean, regular gas car. We prefer, God bless you, plug-in hybrids or electric. You can also get a transit pass for a long time. We're working on a couple of e-bikes right now. A couple of people have actually got e-bikes. And another lady's working on, she's trying to get a e-bike also. So those programs are going on right now. Here's some more. Commercial incentives. As you know, the state has a law right now. It's got $27 million available. I was in your city last week, saw Councilman Brotman there. There's probably 2/3 of that money still left for commercial gardeners to avail themselves of, and that's about a 70% discount, and the dealer will do all the work, and Ace Hardware, something like that. Our program's coming out. I just talked to our Director of Technology Development and Executive Officer, either late March, which is a month away, or early April. We're trying to work with CARB. The money's about $4 to $5 million coming down from the Air Resources Board, Carl Moyer account, and we're going to keep it just for the 4 counties. And that will be an even bigger incentive. Only different in that incentive, and that'll be for cities, it'll be for school districts, colleges, mom and pop gardeners, nonprofits. And that one you got to turn in, you got to scrap an old gas one. In the current state program, don't have to do it. You'll just get 70% off going to the dealer and buying it. Unfortunately for that one, you got to turn something in. They can probably go buy one somewhere and turn it in and get it. But so a lot of great programs on it. The thing is, the state money, I guarantee you, I spoke to the car people at the event, Dan, and I said, when do you think the money's going to go? Because we're doing our gas-powered leaf blower ban right now. I said, because our gardeners are starting to come around, but it's slow process. I said, we're arguing that at the CARB right now. We think it might be May, it could be June or July. So that money might be gone. This one will go in, but the money goes fast because when you get one of those big mowers, it's like $20,000 off of the program is sucked by that one. Charging, fueling infrastructure, vehicles, light, medium duty. We have programs for money. We got the shuttle in South Pass, about 70 grand off. Marine vessels, et cetera. Before we go on, Bill, can you come here for a second? Mayor Pro Tem, do any of you want to volunteer to fuel this leaf blower and blow at myself? I want you, I can have Bill. Dan, you want to? Paul, you many years ago, you were the first.
How's Mr. Brotman doing? I think he's got some experience.
Bill, show him how to do it. Put it on so he's ready to go.
I was going to do
I just want to show you, this is a small handheld blower
okay.
for the residents watching. And hold on to Dan 1 second. This will go probably 25 to 35 minutes. It's a small little, you see a little battery in the back right there? The backpack blowers that you put on your back will go for an hour and a half. We've done it at our district headquarters. Hour and a half, we've timed it. We'll show you, Dan.
I'm gonna blow it on you?
You want you to go for my hair, Dan, go ahead.
Really?
Yes, no, Dan, hold your papers. Hold your papers, go ahead, Dan, right
Am I
there.
legally any issues here?
You can go.
Oh. How does it feel?
Feels good, it's very powerful, very powerful. So you can, I took it and I did my yard today, it's very powerful. Comparable, about 90-95% is a gas powered. And you don't have to go around all day at 95-100%, so these are great. Again, this is a small item. So actually, a lot of the gardeners in our city have used this because they've still got their gas. When they come to South Pass, a lot of them are using this, they got that in their truck too. They use it, and again, you can take this battery out, you can have 2 or 3 batteries, that's part of the program. You get like 75% off your batteries, almost like go to a gardener's truck and they've got 2 or 3 large cans of gas, 2 or 3 cans of oil, because it's 2-stroke, you got to mix it. Instead of all that and paying hundreds or thousands a year for gas, have a couple batteries that last 2 or 3 years guaranteed. You never have to buy gas again. No spark plugs, no filters, no oil. These, well, I'll answer in a minute. So clean air investments in the city of Glendale, just finishing my comments. Your city, Mayor, you, the council, the residents, your businesses have been given from AQMD $8 million, 8.5 almost, for many programs, converting vehicles, Carl Moyer, those are public works vehicles, et cetera. Keep applying. There's also money available. There's a program if you want to do it. We kind of put this together under the Mobile Source Air Pollution Reduction Committee. So every time one of your residents pays for a vehicle registration, 40% of that just goes to your city. You can use it only for reducing mobile source pollution, buying electric trucks, cars, lawnmowers, fueling stations, battery power, things like that. And every year, every time you renew their registration, you've got hundreds of thousands of dollars that you can use this somewhere in your budget. Every city does. 30% comes to AQMD, we give out incentives. 30% goes to this Mobile Source Air Pollution Reduction Committee, which was founded in 1991 when they imposed this fee, and they give out grants. One of the grants we're giving out right now is for every city can make up some type of micro-transit project. Maybe not a fixed rail like we have with Metrolink or Gold Line, but something that's kind of an initiative. Some colleges are doing it to try to connect to like the Metrolink. Mount Sac is going to try to apply for it. A couple of cities down in South Bay. Some type of micro-transit project. They will not pay the infrastructure, but operations for the next 18 months to 2 years. So you may want to look at that. You got a month, but there's about $2.5 million left in that for the 4 counties. And I think we had a couple dozen applications, but there's still more time to apply. A great program. And again, the last one is, that's how much money is in you've got a couple hundred, you had at one time $1 million in your fund, so you can use that for even employee subsidies for taking a train to work. A lot of money in your account. We have a small business assistance. You have companies that need some help, we're willing to come out and help them in person. If somebody has a complaint, you smell something bad or is polluting in the neighborhood, call our complaint line. We'll go out there and investigate. We'll take samples, go back to the lab, and let you know what it is if it's polluting. We do a lot of that down in Vernon, at some of the rendering factories. In the last year, we weren't aware of this. There's a chemical they use to sterilize a lot of medical equipment, ethylene oxide, and it's severely cancer-causing, and there's several places near Compton, Ontario, and one more location where we've had to go in and issue some notices because the levels of that chemical come out were severe. So if you know something, let us know. We'll get down there immediately. And we're working right now with Hyperion in Los Angeles. We get like 40 complaints a week of the smell of odors from the sewage treatment plant. We've issued notices of violations there. So we're trying to work with them to clean it up, better practices, newer equipment. We have a few mobile apps, and whenever I travel on the trains I was in West Covina the other night, it tells you what the air quality is in that city as you're going through it. So really cool. And we've got free sensor performances. You can buy air quality sensors now, take them to our area, and we'll test them to make sure they're working well at our laboratories. Any questions, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem? And I wanted to, if you want me to respond to that, I will. It's up to you.
Thank you very much. Let's hear from council members, and then if you heard that question, you could perhaps respond to it afterwards. Mr. Brotman?
Yeah, well, thank you. And I was here sitting back there because I wasn't on council when you and Dan Mabe from Green Zone Alliance were here, and you impressed everyone on the dais because I watched everyone when you were blowing away with that
Leaf blower.
with that blower. I don't know if it was the same one as that, but I know they've come a long way in the last few years. So anyway, so yeah, I want to thank you for all the work you do. I am really interested in what we can do for e-bikes. I got one myself. We had coffee one day, and I came on my e-bike.
I came on a regular bike, just to let you know.
I know. I saw you. You were getting better exercise than me. But I really think they're a game changer for people that may not be able to, put up with the hills on a regular bike, getting them on an e-bike. So I'd be really interested in what kind of programs we can put in place that would encourage more people to get on e-bikes, replacing their car, which is, in my case, I turned in a car off a lease and decided I was just going to use an e-bike, and it's working, mostly.
Councilman, if we can help you promote our program, we'd be happy to. Every month, I check in, we usually have, I think, like 30 to 55 individuals. Most get cars, some get the transit passes basically forever, and actually, we had a little trouble about a year or two ago because going through the process and working with some of the companies for the e-bikes, but now it's flowing. So we're willing to work with you if you want to help us. We can help you highlight it on social media. So I'll have my staff, if you want to, work with you to promote this program in your city. It's up, whatever you want.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Devine?
Thank you for all this information. I especially am interested in the residential incentives, and I hope that we somehow in the city have that on our website so that our residents know about all of these incentives, because I think some of them are great. And I was here on the dais when you brought the leaf blower the last time, and after that demonstration, I prompted staff to look into starting a program with leaf blowers, electric, battery operated, and of course we're doing it in our parks department, and it's very successful. So I thank you. You're like my mentor, my hero on this particular subject. I have one question for you. Did you do that? Did you use that app on the air when you came to Glendale to see what our air was like?
Today I didn't use it. I was busy talking on the phone, but I could open it up and check.
Oh, okay. Okay. See how we're doing.
Survey says.
Dun, dun, dun,
Where
dun.
are we?
And where did my app go?
Oh, no. Oh, no. Maybe I shouldn't have put you on the spot.
No, it's okay. I got to find the app because I usually check it. I don't know where it went. But go on with your question. I'll keep looking for it.
No, that was, I think that was it.
Okay, I'll recognize Councilmember Asatarian.
Thank you so much for the report. I do have one question with all these programs. Are any of them instant rebate programs, or are they, like, you have to actually apply for them and then you have to pay up front and then obtain the rebate?
So for example, each one's a little bit different. So like with the lawnmower program, the one that's currently going on right now, by CARB, you just have to pretty much go down to the dealer like an Ace Hardware or something like that.
Right.
Sign up, the dealer does all the paperwork. But you've got to show your identification, it's a gardener, your business license. If you don't have a business license, just show your business card or something like that. The lawnmowers, that's changed over the years because I did that like 12 years ago, the electric lawnmower program. So usually you've got to definitely scrap the old polluting gas lawnmower piece of equipment, fill out some forms. It's like a 5-step process, show the receipt, and they get reimbursed.
I think, if I may, the one recommendation I would
Yeah.
ask in the future is for us to look at these being like instant rebate programs. A lot of these folks would need to have the cash on hand in order to be able to switch over. And in order for us to make the process easier, if there is a way for us to convert some of these or future programs as we come out with them for us to look at instant rebates versus them filling out paperwork and providing paying for it, providing a receipt, and then receiving the rebate. I think it would be helpful in making that transition easier in the future. So if there is a possibility to do that with any of these, whether it's, residential, I was taking a look at all the programs, all the different programs coming out from both our state and federal government
Right.
recently, and there's a lot of awesome programs, and every time I would look at each one, it required for residents to basically cough up the money up front, which I think creates an additional barrier for some folks.
Can I make the analogy with like an electric car?
Yeah.
Or a hybrid if you get something? You'll always pay a little more maybe up front. And for example, we're getting this argument from the, you're probably going to get it too, from the mom and pop gardeners. Going to say, this electric is twice or 3 times the amount. With the incentive program, you're not going to pay that you're going to pay only 30% to 20% of the major cost. So there will be a little, it's actually a lot cheaper than buying a gas. Over that time, it's like when I've had the original ugly Prius, the ugliest car in the block for 21 years now. I've saved $18,000 in gas. I've never had one brake change. I've still got the original brakes, 50% good. If you have an electric car, you'll never change your brakes, 9 out of 10 times. So it's maybe a little bit up front, but in the long term, they're going to save a lot of money, a lot. I know what you're saying. I'll see if we can make it simpler so I know, but I understand what you're saying. It makes sense.
Thank you.
Councilmember Devine.
I was just told that the air quality in Glendale is good.
I'll tell you right now, I found my app.
Reach out, yeah. Mr. Tectalian
Here it is.
found it.
You're right, it's 35 AQI,
Yes.
air quality
Okay.
index.
Air quality is
And that's
good.
the ozone. Very good, actually, yeah. If you're under 50, you're very good. That's great.
Excellent. Okay, and we're going to make that even better
And Miss
tonight.
Council member, I think it's because you and the other council members and the staff that took ownership several years ago to change lawn equipment, and now for the first time since it was actually last year, it became a bigger source of air pollution in the state than cars and light-duty trucks. So the fact you're doing your parks, you're actually now surpassed South Pass. We were the first city in the nation to convert all our parks. There's no other city as big as Glendale doing as many parks as you are now. So you're probably, and when you ultimately, hopefully someday convert your entire city, you'll be the largest city in the United States maintaining your parks, soccer fields, baseball fields, by all electric equipment. You're now probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest. I know in LA County you are.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cacciati, thank you for coming. We do have some speakers. I do want to mention, I have used the hotline, the 1-800-CUT-SMOG.
Yep.
And you can use that for those smoking vehicles that are, polluting down the road, and you see these big plumes of smoke. And I understand that you have to have the license plate.
Yes.
And they will get a notice. Is it from the DMV or from your agency?
We'll mail a notice, just a warning, a friendly warning,
So
that they
it
know
might
that
scare them to get the vehicle repaired
we encourage. We've
and
never
do whatever
yeah, we
needs
encourage
to be
them.
done.
Yes, sir.
That's very good. So I'm going to ask you to have a seat, and we do have 2 members of the public wishing to speak. First is Mike Mohill. Three minutes.
Good evening, Married Court, Aaron Najarian. Okay. Good evening, council members. My first question is the leaf blowers. They battery operated? And are the batteries disposable? And where are they disposed? That's a major problem in this world today. You just don't throw it in a dump site. That's my first concern. You mentioned electric scooters. Does anybody know that in New York City they've had 200 fires in the buildings there because those scooters have blown up, those batteries? Electric vehicles, electric scooters. And I know you're encouraging people to ride bicycles. Well, why don't we start having people who ride bicycle pay a license to ride the bicycle on the city streets? If you have a car or a motorcycle, you pay a license fee to do that. We always give these incentives to change procedures. It's all taxpayers' money going from one pocket to the other pocket. If these programs are so great, why do you have them self-sufficient? Why do we have to subsidize green energy? There's no need to subsidize this stuff. Let it stand on its own 2 feet. Again, I'm curious about the batteries, the leaf blowers, bicycles. Have them people ride bicycles, pay a fee, like everybody else in a lot of cities. Okay? And those electric scooters. Now, I know it's against the law to have electric scooters in the city of Glendale to buy them, but people bring them into the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Ramela Anagli. I can't, how do you pronounce
We
it?
already know each other.
I know. I just know you as Ramela, that's how. Anagli.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Actually, I don't like to call those wind blowers, leaf blowers. I like to call them dust blowers. I always choked on them. I'm oppose the whole system, the machine. I don't like the machine. I wish we could replace it with a newer technology. Because it's kind of the dust itself. It's sort of air pollution element. It blows chemicals, all other harmful particles, and causing asthmas and other issues. I really don't like that air blows. Everything, all the whole thing, the system. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ketchati, so the one question I think that if you have an answer to regarding the battery disposal on these new electric blowers.
Yes,
Yes.
sir, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. So a couple of things. With batteries, whether it's on an electric car or a lawnmower, let me give you an example. Before you even like he's talking about throwing them away, you can actually repurpose the battery, the power that's still inherent in a battery. So let me give you an example what South Pasadena did with some Tesla and Nissan Leaf batteries that had reached life on a car. 2 years ago, we tested it at our golf course in Arroyo. We put them in a 50, 60-inch greens mower that cuts the grass every single morning, 18 holes on the greens, because we got a complaint because it cut at 6 o'clock before the golfers get out there. It was loud. Got rid of the gas, Jameson. We put on the batteries, again, repurposed, not thrown away. 2 years later, every single day, they're still working. Every single day. When those will go out someday, maybe 5 or 10 years from now, there are manufacturers for the major OEMs that are right now building battery recycling facilities all over the United States. And there's a large original partner of Tesla that's building, I can't remember the name, but it's on the border of Northern California, and I forget the state border, to recycle batteries from all types of equipment, whether it's batteries from lawnmowers or from cars.
Thank you. Thank you for the information and the report. It's very timely. We're going to be discussing this. Councilmember Devine.
Yes. Be happy to. And Mayor Pro Tem, just a quick reference to the disagreement. To pay for a parochial high school and college, I had a job as a land maintenance person. I guarantee, ask anybody to go out there, if they don't want to use a blower, take a broom and do it when the sun's shining. You can see the sunlight going through the trees. And just with your broom, push the broom like everybody would do. It blows up the dust and particles just as much as a blower, whether gas or electric. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. Let's go on to the next item.
Next are consent items, including minutes. The following are routine and may be acted upon by one motion. Any member of council or the audience requesting separate consideration may do so by making such request before motion is proposed.
Would someone like to move the consent calendar?
Second.
Mr. Brotman.
Yeah.
Councilmember Devine. Is there any public comment?
There are no public comments on this item.
Okay, let's take roll call, please.
Council members Asatryan,
Yes.
Brotman,
Yes.
Divine,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Najarian,
Yes.
Mayor Kasakian.
Next item, please.
Next are city council and staff comments.
Councilmember Devine.
Thank you. A few weeks ago, I nominated Roland Kadikian for the Water and Power Commission, and tonight I ask my colleagues to approve this nomination. He's,
Sorry, Councilmember,
Yes.
it's not on the agenda.
oh,
It fell off the agenda, I guess.
fell off the agenda.
So will that be on next week?
Yes.
Okay, we'll do it next week then. Okay,
Apologize.
that was quick. Okay, and the other item I wanted to bring up is concerning SoCal Gas. They're stepping up to help the customers like seniors 55 plus and people facing difficult financial circumstances with charitable donations of $10 million to help customers with bill assistance and to bolster those who may be struggling financially. They have $5 million in the Gas Assistance Fund. Will be administered by the United Way. There will be $4 million to relaunch their Fueling Communities program. They're going to help relieve food insecurity by collaborating with local food banks. And then there's $1 million, and this is of interest, I think, to some of our restaurants. It's called the Restaurant Care Resilience Fund. It's intended for small restaurant owners to help with improvements, employee retention, and to manage debt, losses, and rising costs. So if you're interested in any of this, this financial assistance, please go to SoCalGas.com, manage higher bills for more information. They have a variety of additional information to handle your bills and these increasing gas costs. So that's it for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Asatryan.
So next week marks International Women's Day on March 8. I wanted to bring your attention to two events that are taking place. Our Greater Downtown Glendale Association will be hosting an event from 2 to 5 p.m. at the Maya Rooftop on March 8. You can get tickets at downtownglendale.com. The Armenian Film Society is hosting a panel, Women in Film and Entertainment, at 7 p.m. at Hero House, and tickets for that are available on their website. I also want to make a note that this Friday, March 3rd, is Employee Appreciation Day. So I want to take a moment to thank all of our city employees for each of you for doing your part. We wouldn't have the wonderful city that we do if it weren't for each and every one of you. So whether you're out in the field or here at City Hall or one of our remote offices, my deepest gratitude to each and every one of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Brotman.
And I second those comments on staff appreciation. I have two things. First, I want to nominate someone named Daniel Paul to the Historic Preservation Commission. I'd also like to thank Lorna Vartanian, who's been on the commission for many years and has made a huge contribution to historic preservation in Glendale. She will be stepping down because she is termed out. And I will be nominating Daniel Paul to replace her. Daniel is an architectural historian with a qualification from the U.S. Secretary of the Interior. He teaches architectural history at Glendale College. And I saw his resume. There were pages and pages of work that he's done on historic landmark nominations at the federal, California, and city levels. He's done context statements, historic research surveys, EIR work. I can't think of anybody more qualified to participate in guiding our historic preservation than Daniel. So I would like to put his name in. Do I need a second for that? No, I don't. Okay, I always forget that protocol. So, and can we put that on the agenda so next week we can vote and get him on. The other thing, and this one I will need a second on, is I would like staff to reconsider how we are defining major transit stop for the purposes of AB 2096, AB 2097, which is the bill authored by Laura Friedman that eliminates parking minimums within a half a mile of a major transit stop. We've taken a definition that excludes the B-line system. And I think there's some other differences between how we've defined it and some other cities are. I know in LA, they do use dash. And if we were to make some slight modifications to how we define major transit stop, it would expand the coverage to include a few areas that I think are important to include in South Glendale. So I would like us to look into that if I can have a second on
I'll
that.
second that.
Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. I don't have anything, but I'd like to turn to our city manager to give us some good news on housing.
Yes. Caught me by surprise.
Oh, sorry.
Mayor Pro Tem Najarian, Member City Council, it is indeed my pleasure to announce and to share with you that this morning I received a letter from HCD, State Housing and Community Development Department, noting that our adopted housing element is now in substantial compliance with the state housing element law. That's a huge win for us. I congratulate the council for the direction and for adopting the housing element back in November, as well as our staff from our planning division, especially Eric Kraus, who spent many long hours on drafting and revising this housing element. Our consultant, Amanda, whose expertise and professionalism and tenacity actually got us to the finish line, as well as our team of attorneys that worked in collaboration with our planning division staff. So congratulations, and my kudos to the team that worked on it.
Congratulations.
Councilmember Devine. Thank you. I just want you to mention how rare it is these days for a city to receive that approval.
Yes, thank you, Councilmember Devine. A report came out yesterday that indicated half of the municipalities in the state of California, are vulnerable, and they're not even close to having their housing element adopted. And you've heard of the builder's remedy provision, and there are almost 8 or 9 applications that have been submitted, including one of our neighboring cities, that developers have submitted plans, and they are going to take advantage of this provision that will prevent from cities imposing conditions on those developments. So we are, as usual, way ahead of the curve.
Are you at liberty to say what city that is?
La Cañada, Flintridge.
That's no surprise. No surprise. They're just not, they don't like to, I won't say anything. Okay, thank you very much. And I have nothing else. Is there anything from staff besides that?
Yes, if I may, Mayor Pro Tem Najarian, Member City Council. As you know, I've sent you a handful of updates on the storm events this last few days. I just wanted to publicly express my deepest gratitude and appreciation for our crews from Public Works, from GWP, Community Service and Parks, as well as our public safety personnel from police and fire that were out there day and night over the last few days trying to mitigate the impacts of the recent storm events. We ended up, as of last night, we had mudslides at 4 locations, 4 sites in the city. We had 10 trees that were down, and they've all been cleared, as well as 2 in a couple of our parks, and a number of tree limbs. So kudos to the crews who worked tirelessly over the last few days and nights to make sure that impacts of these heavy rains were not significant to our residents and our community. And if I may, we also, Saturday morning around 9 o'clock, we were notified that LA DWP's, two of their lines, Rinaldi Airway lines, one of them experienced substantial damage, and they had to bring the other one down to be able to make emergency repairs on one of these lines. And as you know, we are essentially in the middle, right in between the northern and southern systems of LA PD's grid system. And with this Rinaldi lines down, there was a great potential of a system failure that would have necessitated isolating Glendale from the LA DWP's grid, essentially cutting us off from this external power source. So GWP management decided to try bring on Grayson unit number 4, and unit number 1 was on standby because we were reaching the hours that we experience peak loads. And this was to mitigate essentially load shedding that we were planning on. Despite their efforts, the crew's efforts on bringing unit number 4 online, unfortunately, they weren't able to do that. So we were extremely lucky that we didn't have to shed load. And again, somebody say by the skin of our teeth, we managed to keep the lights on, so to speak. So I pay my gratitude again and appreciation to GWP and their quick action trying to mitigate this impact.
Thank you. That's quite a dissimilar situation where during the summer months we are experiencing high usage with all the transmission still occurring. This is a situation where, because of the storm, is that what was the issue? So I'm glad that you didn't shed load, which means blackout. Okay, very good. Anything else from any other staff? Okay, thank you very much. That concludes this portion of the agenda. Let's move to item 6.
Item 6 is community event announcements, 3 minutes each. We have 4 cards and no caller yet.
Thank you. Let's start with Kathy Morphopoulos. Three minutes.
Good evening, council people, council members. My name is Kathy Morphopoulos, and I've lived in Glendale 23 years. I'm a member of the Glendale Seroptimists, and we're looking forward to seeing you at our annual fundraiser, which is called Browse for a Cause. It's on April 1st, and Artie is going to be our MC. I'm also part of a coalition, and it's called Rethinking Access to Marijuana, called RAM. I think you passed out the cards and so forth. So what RAM is it's a collaboration of community-based organizations seeking to prevent marijuana-related harms by limiting youth access and exposure to marijuana in the county of Los Angeles. I've given you postcards from RAM, which includes their social media and website information. These cards are funded by the County of Los Angeles Department of Public Health, Substance Abuse Prevention. So we all know that our cities are struggling with deadly drugs, such as meth and fentanyl. And one of the cheapest, most efficient ways to reduce substance abuse is to prevent it from starting. 90% of all addictions start in the teens. That's something I didn't know, and that is really emphasized. And I don't think I have everybody's attention, but honestly, if there was one thing I could communicate to you, is addiction starts in the teens. That's important. So, for our youth, the 3 most common addictions are going to be alcohol, nicotine in all of its forms, vaping, etc., or cannabis. Today's cannabis, as everyone knows, is a very changed product. It's very high THC. So even though meth and fentanyl have the potential to kill you today, the reality is that the addictions that are most likely to give your kids trouble into the future are going to be alcohol, nicotine, or cannabis. Now, the LA Times did a 3-part investigation on what is happening in the cannabis world. And I've given you the article in text form, and I'll email the full article because it has a lot of pictures with it, but this is in the text form. And the title of one of the articles is "The Reality of Legal Weed in California is Huge Illegal Grows, Violence, Worker Exploitation, and Deaths." So I'm going to read just a little part of the article. This is from the article. This is not my words. It says, Proposition 64, California's 2016 cannabis initiative, it sold the voters on the promise that a legal market would cripple the drug's outlaw trade with its associated violence and environmental wreckage. Instead, the LA Times found that the law triggered a surge in illegal cannabis on a scale California has never witnessed, with criminal enterprises operating with near impunity, and the police are overwhelmed. The scale of the crisis is immense. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Robert Hogg.
Hello, council members. Thank you for your time. I am a friend of Kathy Morphopoulos, so I came to speak on that subject as well. I'm Robert Hogg. I have been living in the Verdugo Woodlands since 2013, and I work at NASA JPL up the hill. I also mentor high school students in a nationwide competition called FIRST, which is a robotics competition, and I've been doing that for a couple decades. Because of that experience and many others, I feel it's important that our kids and youth today have a chance to grow up without being diminished by drugs and be able to fulfill all their goals and dreams as part of our community. So in 2018, the Surgeon General's Office of the United States issued warnings on marijuana, and these studies are on their website, and if anybody hasn't seen those yet, I'd recommend checking that out. So I'm also going to read just a few excerpts from that LA Times article. It's very good, comprehensive, and really captures the state of affairs with legalization of marijuana and what has happened in the different counties. So here's just a couple excerpts, and as Kathy mentioned, you have a copy of that. The explosive growth of marijuana has had grave, far-reaching consequences, according to a Times review of state, county, and court records, as well as interviews with scores of local residents, legal and illegal cannabis growers, laborers, law enforcement, market analysts, community activists, and public officials. Outlaw grows have exacerbated cannabis-related violence, bringing shootouts, robberies, kidnappings, and occasionally killings. Some surrounded residents say they are afraid to venture onto their own properties. Laborers often toil in squalid, dangerous conditions and frequently are cheated of wages. And in 4 counties alone since legalization, carbon monoxide generators have killed 7 workers as they labored or tried to stay warm in sealed greenhouses on illegal farms, and 8 more inside uninhabitable buildings, according to coroner records. Intense cultivation has caused unmeasurable environmental damage, millions of gallons of water being diverted at a time of severe drought, pulled out of aquifers even as the wells of local homeowners go dry. Unchecked chemical fertilizers have been deployed along with banned lethal pesticides. I'll leave it at that, but the article is very good and very factual with real information, so can give you really good judgment on the latest of this whole area. So thank you very much for everything you're doing for our community here. Really appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Mike Mohill.
Good evening, council members. I have a short video for the council to show. It's on electric vehicles.
Cue it up.
It's a little bit longer, slightly longer than 3 minutes, like 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
That would require 100% of new vehicles. What's up, you guys? This is Aldo with PragerU. The California Air Resources Board passed a new rule that would require 100% of new vehicle sales be zero emission by the year 2035. We're here to ask people how they feel about this rule. Let's do it. How do you feel about this ruling?
I'm definitely a proponent of that ruling, and we really like the electric vehicle. Yeah, for sure. I don't think there's a reason why that shouldn't happen. Like, I think that's really great. That's moving in the right direction, you know?
I mean, I think in theory it makes sense. You know, I mean, that's great if they can accomplish that.
We need to be more progressive on electric vehicles. Yeah. Like, getting rid of gas.
What do you think of when you hear zero emission?
Clean air. Clean air for the future.
Over 60% of the energy that provides the power to these electric vehicles comes from fossil fuels, right? So do you think it's really fair to call it zero emission when 60% of the energy is coming from fossil fuels anyway?
I don't think it's fair to call it a zero emissions per se, but I don't think that necessarily discredits like any pushes towards like increasing the amount of electric vehicles and like stuff like that.
To say zero emissions, it's kind of a dumb thing, you know what I mean? Because it just means more emissions somewhere else.
So is it really zero emission, or is it shifting the emissions?
It's shifting, for sure.
And so when you think about this whole push for electric vehicles, they often tell us it's to reduce global greenhouse emissions. But right now, you know, China is responsible for 32% of global greenhouse gas emissions, whereas the United States is only 12%. And when you look at the breakdown of greenhouse gas emissions, it's transportation only accounts for 16%. Whereas industry as a whole, manufacturing and food, that accounts for 43%, and agriculture and forestry accounts for 33%. So these are big chunks. And so does it make sense for us to change our lifestyles and to completely cut off the sale of combustion vehicles when it's such a small amount of the greenhouse gas emissions?
I think it's a reality. We need to move out from fossil fuels, you know? I don't know what to say, like, I mean, at least we need to change that mindset, you know? It's about changing the mindset to start using more sustainable ways, you know?
Right. When an electric vehicle comes off of the production line, it's already responsible for over 25,000 pounds of carbon dioxide emissions compared to 16,000 pounds for a traditional combustion engine. And over the lifetime of an electric vehicle, it will only emit 3 to 5 tons less carbon dioxide than a combustion engine. How do you feel about that?
I think, on the other hand, you also need to think about how we're getting our gas, because you're saying, like, it's kind of, I think gas is still worse.
But 60% of the power for electric vehicles is coming from those gases anyway.
So then maybe the focus goes back on, well, how do we create more efficient energy, and whether that's nuclear or hydro.
So on the other side, battery is gonna be like not.
Can I have another 60 seconds, Mayor?
I think we get the point, Mr. Mohill.
You sure?
Well, I think
Come
so.
on,
Anyone who's
give me-
paying
give me-
attention, I
everything
think.
what's been- This 60 seconds, come on.
No, I'm gonna come back next week.
Well, for ladies and gentlemen, the viewing audience, if you go to my newsletter this week coming out, this video will be there. Thank you very
good.
much.
Fair enough. Next up is Alan Dish.
Good evening, Council. Allow me to start on a lighter topic tonight. Allow me to thank you sincerely for taking into account my requests for public pianos. You have done me and the citizens an immense service with this project. Like most of the snow that has visited us, allow it to intertwine and not interfere with the daily life in the city. Last month, while I was in Park City, Utah, I asked hotel concierge if there was a piano in the area. A kind woman readily pointed me to the nearby miners' hospital, adding that a piano was installed there for the mental well-being of the miners. In a town of 8,000, this last point was a sign of pride for her. I brought this issue to council during my first visit here last June, which was presided over by Councilmember Najarian as Mayor Pro Tem. Isn't this a nice coincidence? During which I made a promise that I would compose songs for all of the council members if my requests should be fulfilled. I plan on standing by these promises. Indeed, had there already been easily accessible pianos in downtown Glendale, I never would have gone exploring the Hilton or Americana, or have come to council about it, or met Mr. Mohill or Ms. Ramella, or gone to the old person's home, or got involved in the city's dealings in general. I hope council listens closely to all of our demands, especially the elderly at 333 Monterey Road, one of whom, Ms. Tamara, also spoke here on that same day in June, and I hope you address us immediately. As for the pianos, my position is one of immense gratitude, but with a qualification. My original request remains that you also consider opening the pianos in the city libraries, Brand Library and Central, to public musicians. I don't know, have a registration or reservation system and allow me to play there. It just seems practical, like you have pianos in a closed auditorium away from patrons and they sit unused most of the time. Why not open them? As for public street pianos, my attitude may shock you. It's not so much that I should play it, but that it's there and I could play it if I really wanted to. And here I want to partially praise the piano at Americana. I can do this now that you are giving the pianos, although I totally stand by making a spectacle out of it. It was symbolic. But so the piano at Americana really provides a good form of alienation. Like, by this I mean with the automatic piano playing there. Like, what's the point? You don't have to listen to it. Like, it's in the background, so you can enjoy properly what you're really there to do. Consume, buy, eat, you know, have a good time. And so I'm not making fun of it. I'm just saying that I understand this. I hope you work with us to decide where they're installed. I just wanted to say I will be splitting my time between the piano bench out there and the podium here. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Councilmember Russell.
Could we actually have staff look into us maybe creating a reservation system at the libraries? I don't know what the situation is with the pianos there, but I actually think it would be a wonderful way for our residents to be able to practice and enjoy the pianos if we have them and they're not being utilized and they're in a space that doesn't conflict with people studying and doing work at the libraries.
Mayor Pro Tem, Member City Council, Councilmember Satrian, we can definitely look into creating a system of that sort.
Okay. And Madam Clerk?
We have one caller, Gustavo Moreno. Gustavo, you're on air. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, council members. I would just like to make a comment regarding electric vehicles. Increased weight means longer braking distance, and high instant torque means high tire wear. Compared to combustion cars, electric drive technology lowers engine noise, emissions, maintenance, and running costs. However, one consequence of many electric vehicles benefits is a significant increase in weight. Batteries are heavy, and their weight places additional strain on electric car tires and brakes. The reason this is important is because the study from Europe indicates that 52% of all small particle pollutions from road transport came from tire and brake wear in 2021, plus a further 24% from abrasion of roads and their paint markings. Just 15% came from emissions from exhaust of cars and 10% from the exhaust of vans and HGVs. I just would like to let the council know that when they're making these electric vehicle decisions, that tires and brakes are significantly important to pollutants. Thank you very much for your time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any more callers?
No.
That's it. Okay, so that will close this portion of community announcements and oral communications. Mr. City Manager, is there any problem if we go to 8B, the ban on gas-powered landscaping, before we go to the parking ordinance?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Because we have our AQMD vice chair waiting, and we have several staffers. So if there's no objections, let's get to that item. So let's go to 8B, Madam Clerk.
Yes. 8B is management services regarding potential ban on the use of gas-powered landscaping equipment or two-stroke gas engines. 1, motion providing direction to staff regarding the scope of a potential ban on the use of gas-powered landscaping equipment or two-stroke gas engines and direction on ordinance enforcement.
Mr. City Manager.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem Najarian, member of the City Council. As Mr. Cacciati had mentioned, we, the City of Glendale, has already started transitioning the majority of our parks and facilities, transitioning from gas-powered landscape equipment to battery-powered. And the next step would be to expand that ban citywide if we receive council's direction. Previously, when staff made a presentation, council directed the staff go ahead and conduct some more research and come back with some options to consider. So we're here today, and Elizabeth Harris from our Sustainability Office will make a presentation and seek your direction on the scope of this ban and the enforcement piece of it. Elizabeth?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So as Mr. Galanian said, we're here to get direction from City Council regarding whether or not you'd like to pursue a potential ban on the use of gas-powered landscaping equipment or two-stroke engines, and if you do, to get direction on what type of scope and enforcement. So to provide a recap, as mentioned before, this was brought to City Council last year in October, seeking initial direction regarding this topic area, and some of the feedback from City Council and direction at the time was to investigate a ban on the use of gas-powered two-stroke engines and landscaping equipment, to provide an overview of enforcing such a ban, explore the development of an incentive program, and form an outreach campaign. So with your feedback and direction, staff spoke to other cities with leaf blower bans about their experiences. So we spoke to 6 other cities personally. We looked at the ordinances of multiple cities that do have like a leaf blower ban or landscaping ban, and I was like 11 cities. We collaborated with our code enforcement team to look at enforcement possibilities, and we collaborated with our GWP team to investigate rebates and how that would be implemented in the cities. And then we partnered with the American Green Zone Alliance, or AGZA, for a demonstration event to educate the community about transitioning to electric landscaping equipment and to raise awareness about the California Core rebate incentive program for professional landscapers that's currently open. So all the insights from this work was synthesized in the staff report, but in doing the research, part of the reason we're coming back for direction is your initial direction of like gas-powered two-stroke engines covers a wide variety of different types of equipment. It's not just landscaping equipment, but includes other pieces of equipment like such as water pumps or even golf carts, and also looking at what other cities do. We don't really see that many in other cities, and most cities tend to focus on like leaf blowers. Additionally, upon speaking with our code enforcement team to understand what's the cost and scope of developing an enforcement plan, they needed direction on such as like who would be cited and what's the scope and of how they would enforce such a ordinance. And then in speaking with our GWP colleagues, we spoke with them about how would we implement such a rebate program, and the feedback is that we're currently working with them to investigate the feasibility, and as mentioned in the report, if it is feasible, it would come back to City Council as a later date as part of the budget process. And for AGS as our demonstration event, I provided some information at the end to kind of give an update on how that event went and how we were able to educate the public about electric landscaping. But given the insights from the report and from our research, if City Council does wish to pursue such a ban, staff recommend taking a phased approach. We recommend starting with the ban of the use of gas-powered leaf blowers initially if you do want to pursue something similar. Main reason being like this is what other cities are doing. This allows time for those affected by such an ordinance, such as landscapers, to start the transition to electric. And also there's a lot of alternatives for gas-powered leaf blowers. So there are such as electric gas-powered leaf blowers for commercial use. There's also raking, there's sweeping, and there's even leaf vacuums as well. And also by doing this kind of phased approach, it allows us to like work with our code enforcement team to see how does enforcing such an ordinance work, so that if you do wish to expand the ban in such as like a phase 2, we can improve upon that. And also why taking a phased approach is this allows the time for our landscapers and our residents to transition, but also currently we don't really know at the moment the feasibility in terms of impact on any businesses in Glendale on transitioning their whole suite of tools to electric. but this will allow some time to, if council wishes for such an investigation. And then at the end, later on, if you wish, you can then ban the use of all gas-powered landscaping equipment. So that could include like lawn mowers and things with 4-stroke engines, such as lawnmowers, or really big, such leaf blower packs. Yes.
Sure. We have a question.
Just, if you could just go back, just really quickly, what do you mean by emergencies, exceptions during emergencies?
Some of the direction from City Council at the last meeting was that what are some exceptions for landscaping equipment, such as like chainsaws were discussed. Could chainsaws be used in emergency situations, or leaf blowers be used in emergency situations to clear roadways and paths? We saw in other ordinances that they usually have an emergencies exception clause. So in event of emergency that roadways or some other access points need to be cleared, then the use of gas-powered equipment is allowed. So you could have that in the ordinance if you'd like. So to summarize, our ask for council is to get direction on the type of equipment banned if you do wish to pursue a ban, and the enforcement scope. So the equipment ban be like, do you want to ban gas-powered leaf blowers? Or is it gas-powered 2-stroke landscaping equipment, or gas-powered landscaping equipment as a whole? And then enforcement scope, who receives the citation? Is it property owners or equipment operators? What we see from other cities is typically the property owners. Do you want an active or passive enforcement regarding this issue? So currently how our code enforcement works, if they receive a violation reported to them, they'll then schedule an enforcement officer to go out. Or if you'd like active, that would involve some perhaps patrolling. This feedback would then be able to help us work with our team in code enforcement to identify the costs and resources needed. And then also, if you do wish to pursue such a ban, do you want a grace period / education period? So if you implement an ordinance, do you want a 1 year before you start enforcing it, or do you want more or less to have education? And before you go to questions and discussion, I could give you an update on our education to the public regarding landscaping equipment electrification. So this kind of took an approach using kind of 4 methods. It's centered around a demonstration event that happened last week, Thursday, and that looked at educating the public on transitioning to electric equipment, but also educating professional landscapers on the different types of equipment, and also the California Core program, which is a program where professional landscapers can receive at point of sale discounts on equipment. So to develop this kind of our education outreach we developed a media kit, we invested in advertising, and we also invested in staff time with boots on the ground. So our media kit involved flyers and social media posts in English, Spanish, and Armenian. We also provided captions in these multiple languages. This was handed out to different community organizations and sent to landscaping businesses. We developed a media advisory and different groups, and we posted on our social media to educate the community about the event that happened last week, but also to raise awareness of that there are these discount rebates available for professional landscapers. And it was even published on California Core's website, our event. We invested in advertising because we didn't want to just rely on like spreading the word. So we invested in a mixture of digital social media ads and radio ads. We invested in English and Spanish ads because Spanish is the main language of our target user. And we also invested in Spanish radio, such as with La Raza, which is one of the largest Spanish radio stations, to raise awareness about not only our event, but also the California Core Voucher Program. And in the past, in working with AGSA, some of the feedback at past events is that they've been able to have attendees come because they heard it on the radio. In addition to that, we invested in staff time going around into the community. So we went around Glendale and posted flyers of the event in different coffee shops and such. We partnered with our libraries to have flyers in different libraries. We also called businesses to invite them to the event and to notify them about the California Core Voucher Program. And then AGSA staff collaborated with us and walked around the Glendale community, providing flyers to professional landscapers about the event and also about the California Core Voucher Program. So all this outreach culminated in the event last week where due to the rain, was moved inside, but despite that, we had a lively group of people coming to the event. We had 11 different vendors of electric equipment come. As you can see, we had our vice chair of the South Coast AQMD attend as well. We had members from California Core and CalSTART attend as well. And we had multiple landscapers come. And despite the rain, I thought the event was very successful and that those who did attend were highly engaged, talking to different vendors and looking at the different types of equipment. And anyone who didn't attend who received a flyer would have the information already on how to receive the voucher for electric equipment. So to summarize kind of like our education at this point, so far at the last city council meeting where this topic came up, there were eight individuals gave public comment, most in support of a leaf blower ban of some sort. We called 52 businesses to educate them about our event and also to notify them about the California Core Voucher Program. We posted flyers in 12 locations around the city, not including the libraries. We reached out and connected with 16 community organizations to help spread the word. AGSA's team was able to hand information to over 40 plus landscapers within the Glendale area. Our social ads reached over 80,000 accounts, and that doesn't include the reach of the radio ads. And then at the event, we had about 20 registered demo event attendees. And then as of a couple hours ago, when I last checked my email, staff received about 3 emails regarding this issue from the public, although you may have received others. So to conclude, we are asking for direction on City Council on whether or not you'd like to pursue such a ban and ordinance. And if you do, we'd like direction on the type of equipment you would like to ban. Would you like it to be gas-powered leaf blowers, gas-powered 2-stroke landscaping equipment, or gas-powered landscaping equipment as a whole? And also to provide direction on the enforcement of such an ordinance if you would like to pursue it. So who would receive the citation, property owners or equipment owners? Would you like active or passive enforcement? And would you like to have a grace period for such an ordinance? Okay, thank you, and here to answer questions.
Thank you. Let's take questions.
I have a question.
Councilmember Devine.
My major concern with this transition, and I've been a proponent of it for many years, I'm concerned about the length of time the battery lasts. Gardeners work 8 hours a day. What's the length of time that they can use the battery before it stops? And then what are some solutions to the problem? Like if it's it lasts 45 minutes. Well, that's enough to do maybe 2 lawns. How do we extend that, or how can they work for 8 hours on their battery pack or their leaf blower? What's the solution to that? So that I'm not concerned about them not being able to do a full 8 hours work.
Definitely, that is definitely a challenge for landscapers, which is why the phased approach was suggested, so that not all the equipment, as the Vice Chair Michael Cacciati mentioned, some of those backpack leaf blowers, they could have a battery life up to 1.5 hours, and typically, and also there are vendors who provide battery pack chargers that are portable, so that you can have multiple batteries charging at once, and then landscapers can take a bunch with them. So once one battery dies, they can flip in a new one. So there are options for that, but it definitely would be a challenge. There would be wanting a transition because landscapers would definitely need to learn how to adequately and efficiently use their equipment and figure out how best to use it and when to use it to extend the life of the battery. So that is a challenge. But if their battery does run out, they could go back to the rake or sweeping as an instance, or perhaps if they're working with a homeowner, some homeowners may allow the landscaper to use their equipment if they have an electric leaf blower instead.
Would Mike have any other comments to make on that question? Cacciata.
Just a supplement, Madam Council Member. So what we do in South Pasadena, since we've implemented this, I can advise that Bill Kelly, one of my consultants in Rainbow, Bill has the same gardener I do. We live several blocks away. So what we do is the gardener, he has actually the backpack and this one too. These are interchangeable batteries. So they can take the battery off. They can have 3 or 4 batteries in the back of their truck, or locked up, because a lot of people are stealing gas or electric equipment nowadays. Well, he's at my house for about an hour doing work. He's got a battery plugged in the backyard, one of his batteries plugged in through my front. So he's there about an hour, depletes one battery. The other 2 now are charged up to almost full. And then he goes to actually the person across the street from my house, he's doing work there. Then again, he charges there. He goes to Bill's house and charges. But we incentivize the batteries too. And this is a small battery. Again, this is a handheld. The backpack's an hour, 20, hour and a half. We've tested them. And again, depends on the manufacturer. Makita, Still, Echo are the best. There's a couple I'm not going to say, but they're just not as good. And they may go 45 minutes to an hour, like you said. But again, instead of the comparison is, do you have your 5-gallon tanks of gas in there, and you've got to put 2-stroke oil in a certain amount every time you put the gas in? This is going to save you hundreds or thousands of dollars, and they're guaranteed as part of our program, minimum 2 years. Dan will come and tell you, we've had some of the batteries last 6, 7, 8 years. They're still in use, that we've been using in our parks for multiple years. Again, guaranteed for 2 years. If not, get a brand new battery, turn it in.
What's the initial cost on that for a gardener?
So again, the battery will get 70% off a battery, 70% off the price. Backpacks are more expensive. I don't have the exact, each manufacturer is a little bit different. But again, when you get the rebate, point of sale, dealer does all the work, it's still up front, it's cheaper than a gas-powered leaf blower. You're going to need the backpack blower, a battery, and a charger to charge it overnight. I had a lawnmower for many years, little plastic ones, before they evolved like electric cars. I would just charge up overnight, and it cut the whole yard. So we've been doing this we started in 2015 in South Pasadena, our signature park, 8 acres. When it's like an electric car, we needed 4 batteries to cut the 8 acres. These weren't as strong, but now we cut the park. It used to take all day, done in 2 hours with riding lawnmowers. And the gentlemen who are trained on this, again, you don't go at full speed all day. It's like a vacuum cleaner. When I go to the park with my dog walking in the morning, they've been trained by Dan Mabe, and they're going at about 50% capacity, which will last even more than an hour and a half.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That's helpful.
Oh, I was going to say, maybe before you
of
sit
course.
down, I was going to just kind of continue on that same topic, because I've also spoken to Dan Mabe, and for those of you who don't know, he's the
AGSA president,
AGSA
founder.
president, the American Green Zone Alliance, and he's got a lot of experience. And I'll just tell you what he said, and tell me what you think. He said kind of what you're saying, that you can't really say how long the battery lasts, because it really depends on how you use it, and that one of the keys to this transition is going to be teaching, educating landscapers on the best ways to maintain battery life. And one of the things that really struck me, and I actually started doing this in my own house, because I've got an electric lawnmower that I got through the AQMD program.
Good.
Actually. But anyway, one of the things that I think really helps is you don't try to blow leaves off of grass. You kind of mow the grass with a kind of a mulcher, and the leaves kind of just crumble up. You don't see them. Whereas you use your blower more on hardscape,
Right.
and then it'll last much, much longer. So that's like an education thing, because people don't necessarily do it that way. But I think these are, tell me if like in South Pasadena, are those the kind of things you've been trying to educate landscapers to do?
We do. When we have a demonstration program like you had last week here, very effective. Dan will actually sit down with them in a classroom or something like that, offer them to come in, train them on the spot, walk them through how to do it, and it's a big difference. 5 or 6 years ago, I would watch the gardeners at the park. Really loud, people would complain, you wouldn't bring your dogs there. And now I watch them, it's just they take their time, and the gardeners love it. They say, wow, I don't smell like gas anymore, this is easier, it's not so loud. It's a benefit for everybody.
Okay. And I have, if I could have one more question about rebates, because I know that there's this pot of money, the 70% off, but that's going to go pretty fast, right?
At the state level, yes.
At the state level, and then I know AQMD has a, I think one of the things we're going to have to think about is how much of our money do we want to put behind this? And are we going to put it to, running education programs? Or are we going to put it, are we going to, provide subsidies directly out of, city funds, or maybe our utility using the public benefits funds or something like that? What have you guys in South Pass thought about? Have you thought about doing direct subsidies, or do you think there's going to be more money coming down from the state?
Definitely not the state. Again, we had this program about 2 or 3 years ago, you might recall. We got a federal grant from EPA. I forget what the type of grant was called. We had about $4 million, $3 or $4 million. First year, the money wasn't going. We were at 2.5, 2.4 for like 2 years. We hired Dan Mabe to go out. I would go out with Dan many times. Fontana, Yorba Linda, Glendora. I was Irwindale, cities all over the place, especially cities I represented. And then within a few months, the word was starting to get out. It went to LA Unified School District. They replaced about 30 of the zero-turn mowers, 52, 60-inch, 72-inch. The money started going down really fast. They bought, I think, 300 or 400 or 500 leaf blowers. So the money went down really fast, and within 6 months, it was gone. So a lot of large school districts, larger companies took advantage of it. So I think the money will be depleted at the state level. Ours will go, I think, as more cities implement like you. La Cañada's called me personally. They're looking at an ordinance also. They're considering it right now. The staff is, I don't think it's gone to council. Other cities have called us in the region about doing it. So money's going to go.
So what do we do when that money's gone?
It's up to you, but I tell you, we're pushing our gardeners now. I think with just a comment on your outreach program, which is incredible, but the number of gardeners hit or that showed up, 40, 20, 30. How many properties do you have in Glendale? How many thousands?
Yeah.
Again, when we did the social media, we did demonstrations, we've had like 5 or 6. 10 gardeners show up, 5 show up, 12. Not until I said, staff, I've been telling you this, and we put an ad in the paper, it's great stuff. We finally supplemented. We said, I want to do a mass mailing to every property owner, their utility bill in the city. So finally in January, we did this, January and February. We had a demonstration in South Pass in March. I'm sorry, we did it December, January, early February. A few weeks ago, we did the demonstration. Guess from 2012, 10, guess how many gardeners showed up after we sent a letter to every property owner saying, listen, when this goes into effect, the scope is going to be you. You're going to pay the fine. We're going to soft enforcement, whatever you want to call it, and then we're going to give you warnings, and then the fines, $50, $100, $250, up to $500. I got a call like 2 days after that letter went out from the vice chair, I think I was mentioning somebody, vice chair of the San Marino School District. Called him, Rob, what's up? What do you want? Mike, I just got your letter. I own several properties in South Pasadena. I don't want to pay a fine. What can I do? Who do I call? 86, 90 gardeners showed up in those 4 hours. 86 we never had more than 15 or 20. And you believe, let me tell you, 30 or 40 homeowners showed up, and with their gardeners, and you're going to get this. I had 3 or 4 residents come begging. They came by themselves. They were begging gardeners there, please, will you work for me? My gardener won't change. Will you work for me? We got the letter out. We're going to do one more letter. Talked to the city manager this morning. One more letter is going to go out to every property owner, Chamber of Commerce, business. We're going to let you know the money's drying up. We've given you time. We're rolling this out progressive like you're trying to do, education, outreach. But within a few months, the code enforcement's going to be out there going around because the gardeners are fighting it. The gardeners are going to fight it. They don't like change. So.
Okay. Thank you.
So, thank you, Mr. Brotman. Some might be surprised that you do your own yard work, but I'm surprised you have a lawn.
I have a small lawn, but I might get rid of it eventually.
There you go. That's the way to do it. Councilmember Saturia.
So I have questions on the enforcement end, but before that, thank you for the awesome presentation. And I do have to say that the landscaping event, I saw flyers for that everywhere, and I saw it online. And so kudos to the staff for doing an incredible job with outreach on that. So,
thank you.
On the enforcement front, do we currently have the resources for enforcement for this? And if we don't, how much are we looking at? I want to make sure that as we're going through this, we know that down the line we're going to have to hire or not hire, and how much this is going to cost us?
Excuse me. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, members of City Council. That would depend on whether or not there would be active or passive enforcement on the number of staff members that we would need. Regardless, we would need to add additional staff if we were to conduct enforcement on this, particularly if it is active enforcement.
Can you give a rough estimate of either or scenario?
Under active enforcement, we would anticipate we would need approximately 4 to 5 staff members. That is somewhere between about $410,000 to $512,000 fully burdened each year. If we were to go with passive enforcement, we would be looking at 1 to 2. So we'd be looking at somewhere in the range of about $205,000 fully burdened.
Passive, is passive complaint driven?
Passive would be complaint driven, that's correct.
Okay, and we would still need more staff for that?
Correct. As we've seen and as we kind of continue to add on to our portfolio of ordinances and other rules and regulations, it is becoming increasingly challenging to continue to add more and more cases to them every day.
Thank you.
We have several cards and callers. Why don't we go to public comment on this? Let's hear first from Mike Mohill.
Mayor Najarian, since the people who are in favor of this, you gave them at least 15, 20 minutes to talk about it. Can I have a few more minutes than 3 minutes to talk about it? I have a video, a short video.
Not the same one
Different video.
we saw. How many minutes is it?
Maybe about 4 minutes.
I'll give you 4 minutes.
Thank you.
But you can't talk, though.
I'm not talking.
Suffering and death.
4 minutes will be.
The crisis is.
Hold up the
The world faces a serious crisis, one that will ruin whole economies and lead to needless suffering and death. The crisis is related to climate change, but not in the way you're probably thinking. It's the global energy crisis, a man-made crisis created by climate change policies. These policies have led to a shortage of fossil fuels, oil, coal, and natural gas, the fuels that provide over 80% of the world's energy. A shortage of anything leads to higher prices. That's just basic economics. Fossil fuel shortages have led to higher energy prices. And because the energy industry powers every other industry, this has led to higher prices of almost everything, everywhere. We are already seeing the consequences. Inflation. Inflation spares no one, but those who live paycheck to paycheck suffer the most. Every purchase becomes a major decision. Inflation in the US in 2022 was around 8%. In the UK, 10%, and in many developing countries, much higher. The leading driver of this inflation has been the cost of energy. Deadly winters. Contrary to popular belief, far more people die from cold than heat. Saving lives from the danger of cold requires low-cost, reliable energy. Without it, people on the margins can't adequately heat their homes during the harsh winter months. Even in wealthy Europe, literally thousands will die for lack of energy. Widespread job losses. When energy prices increase dramatically, industries scale back or shut down altogether. As the Wall Street Journal reports, Europe's energy crisis has left few businesses untouched. Some industries, such as the energy-intensive metals sector, are shutting factories that analysts and executives say might never reopen, imperiling thousands of jobs. Mass starvation. Modern agriculture depends on fossil fuels. Natural gas is a prime component of fertilizer, and farming equipment is largely powered by diesel fuel. When natural gas and oil prices go up, food becomes more expensive around the world. According to the president of the World Farmers Organization, prices are 78% higher than in 2021. In many regions in the developing world, farmers simply can't afford fertilizers, or even if they could, the fertilizers are not available to them. Not enough fertilizer means not enough food. While the whole world suffers from an energy crisis, the worst affected are poor nations who are getting outbid for scarce energy supplies. Bangladesh has recently experienced widespread power outages. They simply can't get the energy they need. A desperate Europe is grabbing all it can, leaving this East Asian nation literally in the dark. This will lead to civil unrest. We saw this in Sri Lanka in 2022. Violent riots racked the country following massive crop failures. A leading reason for the crop failures, a lack of fertilizer due to anti-natural gas, anti-fertilizer policies. The root cause of all these problems and the very real suffering that results is the same: not enough fossil fuel. But there is no need for shortages of fossil fuel. We have all the fossil fuel we need, and then some. We are literally standing on it. We just can't get to it. We can't get to it because governments have decided we shouldn't use fossil fuels. They say we're in a climate crisis. But while climate change, humans impacting climate, is a real thing, climate crisis is not. The world is slowly becoming warmer at a cold point in geological history when many more people die of cold than of heat. This doesn't at all justify rapidly restricting global fossil fuel use. Fossil fuels actually make us far safer from climate by providing low-cost energy for the amazing machines that protect us.
Another minute and a half?
Thank you.
Finish it? Come on.
No, I was generous, Mr.
Well,
Mull.
but the other side had 20 minutes to discuss their position. I'm the only one on this side.
Other side.
Thank you.
Well,
No,
yeah.
thank you, Mr. Mulhall. I appreciate it, and I think your points were made clear.
Okay. Enjoy the cost of living.
Thank you. Why don't we?
I wanted to make a quick comment on this. I just wanted to make a, I just was curious who PragerU is, so I looked them up. And the first couple lines from Wikipedia is, much of their early funding came from hydraulic fracking billionaires Dan and Ferris Wilkes. I think that tells us all we need to know.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. Next up is Stephen Meek.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tems, City Council and staff. Thank you for letting me speak. I thank you for an excellent presentation. I really enjoyed that. I think this is a presentation and is a good start. I would love to ban all of those things that are loud and smelly, but I think this is an excellent start. I think you've done a good outreach, and we need to continue the education for all of the different landscape people that work and the owners and property owners. I would encourage, at least in the beginning, a very soft approach but an active enforcement to tell people, no, you've got to change. I also think we should try to get some sort of subsidies and really educate them to use the AQMD and Southern subsidies that we can do for our people here in Glendale. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have callers.
Yes, we have 3 callers. Our first caller is Catherine Yurka. Catherine, you're on air. You have 3 minutes. Catherine Yurka. Our next caller is Victoria Valentine. Victoria, you're on air. You have 3 minutes. Victoria Valentine. Our next caller is Monica Campagna. Monica, you're on air. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. Good evening, council members. I just wanted to start by saying that I'm really, really proud of the city for the work that has been done so far at our own parks facilities, and I want to thank all the staff at Parks for their commitment to this, and to council. I remember Councilwoman Devine kind of kicking this off some years ago, and I want to appreciate that. I want to thank Mr. Kachadi and Dan Mabe, who are heroes to me. Dan has helped our Glendale Unified School District as well get started with this program. And so I just want to thank everyone for the momentum, and I really hope we'll keep up this momentum and go to the next step here. I strongly encourage the city to go ahead and put enforcement way off, make it a tender touch, but having it there is obviously something that can motivate us to really get the momentum going. And then just really keep up with this terrific outreach you're doing. I mean, it'll continue to snowball the more events you do, and more people will hear about it, be like, oh, I couldn't go last time, but I can go this time. And thank you to Mr. Jones and his staff for that fabulous outreach he's done. On a personal note, I do take care of a school campus. It's about 4 acres, and I use some power tools over there. Mostly I use things at home, trimmers with batteries, a lawnmower with battery, which I just use for weeds, really, these days. And, you know, I use a plug-in chipper, and I use I even got a chainsaw that's battery operated now. So these things are great. You can pass the batteries around, charge them up, you know, as you're working on something else, you can plug them in. And like has been said, and Mr. Mabe has a wonderful presentation on the cost savings of these items. I also would never put myself through having to inhale gas fumes all day. I just wouldn't do it, and I wouldn't want that for anyone else either. So I really hope we can get beyond this old technology and move to something that's much healthier for everyone. Thank you all so much. Appreciate your time. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Catherine Yerka is our next caller. Catherine, you're on air. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you so much, everyone. And I'm really sorry.
We have a hard time hearing you. I'm sorry. Could you?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Tim, I never imagined that there was only one speaker in person for this issue, so I was sanguine about my place in the queue. I'm just very happy that you are going to be moving forward with the leaf blower ban, which I have to say, contrary to the video, I do not think is going to lead to world revolution. I think education of property owners is really going to be important, and that we do need to be responsible for the people who work for us. And I would just encourage staff members to reach out to neighborhood associations with information that we can share with our members, because this is the kind of thing we're made to do. Also, I would urge you, I do agree with having a lead time before enforcement kicks in, but I would urge you not to put it way off, as I think one of the callers mentioned. This is just such an important change, and you know we do want people to comply with this as soon as they can. So thank you very much for your consideration, and again, apologies for my lateness. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Our next caller is Victoria Valentine. Victoria, you're on air. You have 3 minutes. Victoria Valentine. Our next caller is Don Labrish. Don, you're on air. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I was just wondering, from what I understand, the state of California is banning small gasoline engines to take effect within the next few years. So the question is, what was the state planning enforcement-wise, and if they're putting that burden on the city, are they providing funds for that enforcement? Because from what I understand, I heard a city council meeting at the end of last year that the city is facing a budget shortfall within a year or two, maybe this year or next year. So that was my question and my concern. The state is already banning these. This is an additional regulation, but was the state planning on enforcing this, or are there funds available for enforcement to defray the city's costs?
Thank you. Is that it?
Thank you. I'll call on Victoria Valentine one last time, if I may. Victoria Valentine, you're on air. You have 3 minutes. Are you there?
Okay, so we'll take no more calls on this. Mr. Councilmember Brotman has a response to the...
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, because I've gotten a few other comments saying, you know, hasn't the state already imposed a ban? So what the state has done is they will be banning the sale of new gas-powered equipment starting in 2024. You can still use your old equipment, and you can buy your equipment outside of California, and I'm sure there are going to be a lot of people out there that are going to start businesses refurbishing old gas equipment. So that's the difference. It's a ban on sale, whereas what we're talking about is a ban on use.
Okay, thank you. So that is our comment, just to frame the issue. We're here to give direction to staff to come back with whatever we ask them to come back with, and they have a recommendation to do the phased approach. So that's sort of where we're going, but let me recognize, yes. Questions, comments, whatever?
I have questions first and then go into comments. But for the cities that have had them for a long while, do you know what percentage, if there has been movement on, like, people actually switching over after the ban?
Well, I spoke to West Hollywood and Ojai, who West Hollywood's implemented this, I think they said like over 20 years ago, and Ojai implemented this, I think back in like 2020. In terms of like number of landscapers and homeowners that switched, I didn't ask, so I don't know the answer to that. But I think they said from speaking with their code enforcement officers, they have noticed it whenever they go out in the community, because these two cities do patrol, that they've seen more of a switch in landscaping and using electric equipment and other alternatives. But in terms of like the number of landscapers that have switched or number of homeowners that have switched, I don't have that information, but I could ask them.
Thank you. I'll hold off my.
Okay. Questions or comments, but I'd like to move it into the comment phase. Yes. Councilmember Devine.
As we've stated previously, I've been a proponent of banning the gas-powered leaf blowers for many years. And not only because of the emissions, but also because of the noise. And we're always getting complaints about the noise. And now we've worked into the phase of emissions, and I think that's even more important than the noise factor. I'm just going to go through the list that you're asking for council. First of all, my main concern was about the length of time that the batteries would be capable of allowing the gardeners to do their work. And so I think I'm satisfied with the answers that I've gotten. I feel more at ease that this can work. It can actually work. And once we educate the gardeners on how to use the equipment, so that the batteries last longer, I think that's great. I think letting the homeowners know that they can allow the gardeners to recharge their batteries while they're there, I think that's a great option. I think one of the most important things is that we get letters out to the public, to our residents, that this is going to occur, that it's going to be, inevitably, they are going to be the ones that are responsible. They're the ones that are going to be paying the fines. So they have to know exactly what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how they can assist and make sure that the transition happens in an easy enough way. So the education is absolutely relevant, important, and I think you've started that. Elizabeth, you're doing a fantastic job, Mr. Jones. And that I think we need to, as far as education, we need to let homeowners know, HOAs know. They would be absolutely with their newsletters that they put out on a monthly basis, they could supply great education to all of the residents in their association. So I'm for banning the gas-powered leaf blowers, number one. I think the enforcement scope, the property owner would be the one responsible. I am for passive enforcement, complaint-driven, especially in the beginning, because I know our code enforcement numbers, our staff is limited, and I think that we need to kind of phase this in, and then that way we'll see how many staff we need, if we need more than one or two, exactly what it would look like. I think there should be a grace period for the transition. because the education and the outreach is so important. Let's see, what else did I have? And the letter, as has been mentioned, seems to be one of the most effective ways is to just kind of a FYI or fair warning. If this doesn't happen with your gardener, at your residence, that you are liable to be fined. And that, I guess, wraps up my. I also think we can look eventually into incentives or subsidies. I think in the beginning, the gardeners are going to be a little bit leery about the cost, et cetera, even though there are so many incentives out there for them. That's part of the education, is to let them know what they are. But I think if we are able to, in our budget, to somehow put together an incentive or a subsidy to make the transition easier, I think we can also look into that. So I think I've covered everything that you need to know, right, Elizabeth? Okay, then that's my verdict. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilman Brotman.
Okay, thank you. Before I start, I want to comment on your presentation. Who created that? It was
I did.
You did. Oh, that's
Very dynamic.
that's a new model. Yeah, you've raised the bar. I like it. And thank you for the information. I know you've been working on this for a long time, so I appreciate it. So I, like the rest of you probably, I despise gas leaf blowers, and I would love to see them. I would love to see all two-stroke landscape equipment gone tomorrow, but I'm a realist. I know that it doesn't work that way, and I also understand that no city really has cracked the code yet. Nobody has really, there was that question about how many have come. I don't think anybody has managed to figure this out. So I as much as I would like them gone tomorrow, I think it's smart to start with blowers. I think it's really important to pass an ordinance now or soon, because that creates a compelling event that focuses the mind. But I think a 2-year grace period before we start going into hard enforcement is probably necessary. I hate to say it, but I think it is. And in that 2 years, we really need to do a lot more outreach, and not just to the gardeners, but to property owners, like Councilmember Devine said. I think we really need to get the property owners and property managers on board, and bringing their gardeners into some of these events that we hold. I also think having food at the events is always a really, really good idea to get more people in. But I think that education outreach is really where we're going to have to put some real resources over the next 2 years. I agree that the penalties, once they kick in, should be on the property owners and the property managers, not on the gardeners themselves. I agree with that. I think that what we should do is really lobby for more state funds for this. So let's talk to our assembly members and senators and really see it whether more money can be provided for these rebates. Because I don't know if we're going to be able to actually support rebates ourselves, but we can kind of look at that down the road. If it looks like cost is really a barrier and there isn't additional state funds, I guess we can reconsider whether we want to use some Measure S money or some public benefit charge money out of GWP or that kind of thing. Let's kind of put that on the docket to take a look at. I do like, everything I've heard about how South Pass is doing this. I think that's our, what's the word? Our model. Yeah, I was trying to think of something fancier than model, something with gold in it. But anyway, yeah, I think that the approach should be a carrot and stick, but heavy on the carrot, right? Supportive model, not a punitive model. And I think, I want to get there. I want to be, the first big city that actually moves the needle, not just has an ordinance on the books that makes us feel good, but actually changes the situation on the ground. And I think we can do that if we're careful and if we're thoughtful about it. And so that's pretty much where I am.
Thank you. Councilmember Asatirian.
So I'm okay with us going forward with just the leaf blowers only. I do want to hear about what kind of timeline we're looking at for the education. I did hear Councilmember Brotman note 2 years, may be okay with that. I'm having a difficult time with the enforcement part again because, just with passive, we're looking at $1 million in 5 years. Money we can be investing in mental health services and our green spaces and parks. And again, I'm going to mention this, our building and safety department didn't come to be where it is with all the codes that we have to comply with now that we're trying to figure out a system to streamline overnight. It happened bid by bid, code by code, and how we're building out that enforcement. So I'd like to see something where at the very least we're doing a couple of notices at first without any citation for folks, and then maybe incremental increases. I would not be supportive of active enforcement on this. The fiscal impact of that is just way too heavy. And then I think when it comes to education, aside from just sending out the notices and whatnot, very similar to how you conducted the outreach for this event, and the multilingual language and different platforms. I'm going to note this again. I think our homeowners associations are not enough for outreach. We need to make sure that we're getting to the homeowners themselves, not just working with associations. And so I think I mentioned this during the last time this was here. I would love to see for us to create an incentive program. If we're going to put in money anywhere, I'd love for us to put that money into helping people transition, especially if the funding is going to be running out. I want us to be realistic on this. So I think this is a great initiative. I do want to hear about the timeline. I guess I would be okay between 2 to 5 years. I don't know. I don't know. I know you said 2. I don't know. So you guys are all okay with 2?
If I could?
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that we passed an ordinance, we put a 2-year grace period in there. We can always, there are always off-ramps, right? And I think what happened with South Pasadena is they saw that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Cacciati, but I think, they saw that there are issues, there's supply chain issues, there are other things going on, and so I think they delayed enforcement. We can always do that. So but I think having that, it's out there in 2 years that focuses the mind, I think that's really important.
Okay, so let's do 2.
Yeah.
And then let's get a report back 3 months prior to that 2-year mark for us to determine whether or not we need to suspend if there's something happening that we can't go into full enforcement. And then maybe we can get additional updates, maybe an annual update or I don't know. Mr. City Manager, what would be a good time frame? Just to see how things are going.
Sure. Councilmember Sadrian, I think an annual update is reasonable.
Okay.
We can bring a report back a year after the adoption of the ordinance.
So a year after, and then I'd ask for a report 3 months prior to enforcement. I think that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. I agree with my colleagues on almost every point. I would like to see regular meetings with Mr. Cacciati to keep us posted on the new programs that may be coming down from either the state or the AQMD, as well as, since you have turned out to be our technology expert too, the state of the industry with regard to batteries, usage life, because costs as well, I presume costs of this equipment, at least the leaf blowers, may be going down. So that will help us decide, for example, how firm we're going to be with that 2-year commitment, and the outreach that we're going to do to let the homeowners and the professionals know what's out there. So I think it's a team effort at this point. So, Mr. City Attorney.
Okay, one other,
Yes.
sorry, one other thing I just thought about, which has to do with the education and outreach piece. So I know in South Pasadena, they've worked with AGSA, and I think we need, whether it's AGSA or somebody else, I think we need to bring somebody in to drive this for us. AGSA, I know they're great. I don't know who else is out there, but I would be willing, if there's support from my colleagues, to put some budget dollars behind bringing a third party in to help us with this.
Councilmember Brotman to help us with outreach?
With this whole education program that we're going to have to be doing over the next 2 years.
Okay, well, we will have to get a proposal from whether it's AGSA or another entity before we commit to that.
Yeah, and I see Mr. Cacciati might have a comment.
Or
on it.
in-house. Let's not overlook our dynamo in the sustainability department. Mr. Cacciati, do you have a comment on that, on the outreach part?
Mayor Pro Tem, I would agree. She is a dynamo, and I've watched her work last week. But I really think you do also, to supplement, need an expert that's in the field, that works in the field, that can talk the language of a gardener, that knows what a string trimmer is, how long the battery pack lasts, to better manufacturers. You need Dan Mabe. When you have a demonstration out there, Dan brings his people in, other professional gardeners assist him. We brought in B&M Landscape, the gentleman who works on gas and electric lawnmowers, and I was there for a couple hours watching gardeners come over trying to dismantle our ordinance, and the experts with Dan would say, no, I work on these machines. They're better. You don't have to put in filters, spark plugs. You spend probably $100 every 3 months trying to keep your gas mowers going, your gas leaf blowers going. You don't do that with an electric. So Dan is the expert. He brings the experts in that will supplement, and the gardeners respect.
Thank you.
Okay, so I guess maybe if there's no objection, that we'll look into means to conduct that professional outreach and report back to us. And of course, there's budgetary issues, procurement issues, but if you could tee that up for us as part of this process.
Thank you.
So, is it clear, Mr. City Attorney, as to where we're going?
Mayor Pro Tem, I think it is clear, but I think we do need a motion to direct us to prepare an ordinance. What I heard was the ordinance banning the leaf blowers with the responsibility put on the property owners and managers with complaint-driven enforcement, not active enforcement, a 2-year grace period for the staff to do the outreach. And then I heard a requirement for annual reporting as well as a report 3 months prior to the end of the grace period on where we are with the education piece. That's what I heard, so you can make a motion based on that.
Does that sound right?
That sounds
colleagues?
right.
And all of us
And that
had a little
other
piece of
point,
that.
just about bringing in professional.
For staff to assess the
need for
a third party.
Third party?
The incentive I didn't hear anything about
Yeah, and that.
Motion, so if you want to add that, we'll
Okay,
put that in.
well, let's just add that staff would look into whatever the word is.
Incentives or subsidies,
incentives.
yes. And I'll move that item.
Okay. I'll second. Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Council members Asatryan?
Yes.
Brotman?
Yes.
Divine?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Najarian?
Yes.
Mayor Kasakian?
Thank you. Now we're going to retrograde into the agenda to item 8A. Will you please read that?
8A is City Attorney regarding amendment to Glendale Municipal Code to remove commercial parking permits and to update parking permit fees for large vehicles, boats, and personal watercraft. 1. Introduction of ordinance deleting section 10.36.100 and amending section 10.36.140 of the Glendale Municipal Code 1995 to remove parking permits for commercial vehicles and to update parking permits fees for large vehicles, boats, and personal watercraft.
Thank you. Mr. Galanian?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Member City Council, I'm assuming
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem,
Garcia.
the clerk basically read the report by reading the item into the record. It's basically deleting that one section to remove the parking permits for commercial vehicles and to adjust the ambiguity between the code and our fee resolution, and to defer the fee resolution on these parking permit fees for large vehicles, boats, and personal watercraft. If you have any other questions, David Lightberg from my office is here to answer the question, but we're asking for an introduction of the ordinance.
Okay, do we have any callers?
We do not have any callers, and yeah, we do not have any cards either.
No cards, no callers? Well,
I'll
questions or introduction?
I don't have any
introduce the
questions.
ordinance.
Okay, thank you. Introduced by Councilmember Devine. That was quick. And what is the next item, please?
The next item is oral communications. Discussion is limited to items not a part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Council may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision. The city manager may refer the matter to the appropriate department for investigation and report.
I have the first card from Karen Kwok. She was here.
She was.
We'll put her on deck. Next speaker is Blair Stroh.
We live in Verdugo Woodlands, and about a month ago, Spectrum put a 4-foot metal box in the front of our yard, which I understand Glendale owns from the curb, the 8 feet. So as a homeowner who obviously pays expensive property taxes, you know, for the first thing I want to know is, do we have any rights? Because obviously it's devaluing our property having this huge metal box, you know, on our multi-million, you know, I don't, so that was my first question, if we have any rights as homeowners. And then secondly, you know, when that does happen and someone like Spectrum comes to a property, then maybe they should offer compensation or something. You know, there should be a reason if they are going to put something on your property and take away your value. You know, basically that's kind of why we came tonight.
Well, I will ask staff. Mr. Taktalian, are you up to speed on this particular issue?
I am not. This is the first time I'm hearing about it, but I'd be happy to speak to you afterwards, and at a minimum, get you in contact with our government affairs
that would be great.
liaison with Spectrum.
Right, because I'm sure other people have that, you know, like if you live in a, it's not like we're on the street, we're in a neighborhood, you know, and so I think, yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
thank you.
there's several issues involved in that, and I will defer to staff to hopefully answer your questions and perhaps suggest I don't know if there's a way out of it, but to
That's what, you know, we,
perhaps make a suggestion. If I remember, I don't want to get into it too deep, but I believe that in 1 or 2 occasions they were amenable to somewhat adjusting the location of the box.
that's what we're going through right now with the actual, you know, we talked to them,
I'm
but we don't
going to
have.
leave it to our very qualified
Okay,
assistant city manager to help you with that.
all right, thank you.
Stroh. Karen Kwok.
Oh, you're moving quickly again tonight. I'm still breathless from coming upstairs. Okay. First of all, I'm delighted to hear that as of today, you now have a compliant housing element, because I've been working very hard on it beginning at least 2 years ago to get certain ideas from grassroots tenants groups into that document, like the Right to Counsel and the Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Act. So now that it's passed, we can begin the real work, which is implementing the programs actually cited in that report, which was always my intention. However, I would like to point out that your city staff members cited misleading facts. It is actually not rare to have a compliant housing element, because if you look at the statewide numbers, it's true. the percentage of compliant housing elements is actually pretty low. But you have to remember that the deadlines for housing elements are staggered across the state by region, because California is a large state, and you can't examine every county at the same time. For example, the Bay Area cities are operating on a different schedule than LA County. So if you look at the cities in LA County, nearly 59% of cities have compliant housing elements. That means the majority of our neighboring cities in this county who are operating at the same timetable had compliant housing elements before Glendale. This is not an exceptional achievement. We're actually in the minority of laggards on this issue. Also, if you look at the cities that are at the same state of progress as Glendale, the cities that have adopted housing elements statewide, because you have to remember some cities are at very early stages, they have just submitted their initial draft. Of course, they're not NEET compliant. If you look at cities that have adopted housing elements, over 70% of those are compliant by the state. So once again, you're actually in a minority of laggards in the state. And upon close examination of the housing element, it's actually filled with these kinds of facts. Things that are half-truths, misleading, and statements that are inconsistent with other areas of city policy, all of which none of you seem to have the slightest interest in hearing about. Okay, and you also still haven't answered the latest questions I asked, which is, why did you see fit to cut the public out of your latest stage of the housing element? I spoke on this 2 weeks ago, so you cannot possibly complain that you didn't know the public was not interested. This is actually not about the housing element at all, but it's an issue of good governance. And I would like to see your residents treated fairly on every issue, not just this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, any callers?
No callers.
Well, that concludes this final portion of oral communications. Do we have any new business?
Yes, we do. I move that the city attorney be and hereby is authorized to enter into a retainer agreement to engage the services of Gutierrez, Preciado, and House LLP to assist the city attorney with a matter. The agreement shall, in addition to other provisions, contain a fee cap for the handling of this matter.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Council members Azaterian,
Yes.
Brotman,
Yes.
Divine,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Najarian,
Yes.
Mayor Kasakian.
And if there's no objections, we will adjourn this meeting at 8:17.
We needed a motion.